Hello and welcome to Quartzlight, your car brochure channel, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at the Mark III Ford Cortina for the Canadian market. Welcome back, and if you're new to Quartzlight, Quartzlight is a car brochure channel here on YouTube looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and sometimes beyond that as well. So if you're interested in cars, car brochures, looking back at your favourite cars gone by, please consider subscribing. It's completely free. Anyway, back to today's episode, which was first aired on a Friday. We call those episodes Ford Friday episodes because, well, we look at a different Ford each Friday. Today is no exception, of course. Like I said at the start there, we're going to be looking at this Mark III Ford Cortina. The difference being, of course, this particular one was for the Canadian market. Anyway, let's have a look at today's brochure and learn a bit more about this model. So here is today's brochure for the Mark III Ford Cortina. Of course, the Mark III Cortina, or TC, came out in 1970, ran all the way till 1976. This particular brochure is a Canadian brochure and it is dated 1971, so pretty early on in the Mark III lifespan, hence why it says at the top there, the new Cortina. But in fact, in Canada it didn't last quite as long. I think it only ran till 1973. I'm not even sure it was ever even sold in the US. I certainly don't have a US brochure for the Cortina. I think it was just for the Canadian market. Interesting, and it shows, a different market, doesn't it? A lot more little car. Now, it would never refer to the Cortina as a little car in the UK, would we? We'd call it a family car. When I was a kid, I looked at these and thought, oh, it's a pretty big car, in fact. But different market, of course. Huge American land yachts still being sold at this time, so hence why little car. And you'll notice throughout this brochure it keeps referring back to it as being this small car, quite amusingly. Great front cover, isn't it, of this Cortina. And we'll look at the trim levels, see how they kind of like differ from the UK market. I'll just flip the brochure the other way around. So there is the date for this one. LIFO in Canada 7/71, so July 1971 is the date. Anyway, let's go back to the front, open the first page and see what this brochure has to offer. So as we turn to the first page, we can see the range starts here. The Cortina L, a European beauty apparently. Now in the UK around this time, we did have the Cortina L, of course, but we had a lower model just called the Cortina, which wasn't badged anything at all. That was a real poverty spec model. The L added a few more bits and pieces, but it was still a very basic vehicle. In Canada, this appears to be slightly higher spec. Anyway, let's have a look at the text and see what we can learn. It starts by saying, prepare to change your ideas on how much car you can get for your money. New Cortina L sets the pace and put a lot more little car within reach of your budget. A 2000cc OHC engine, power disc brakes, rear window defroster are among the many standard features offered on the Cortina L. So straight in there, standard model 2 litre. Now in the UK, there was a few engine choices. You could get the 1300, the 1600, and I do believe you can get the 2 litre as well, but you had to get the 4-door. But this is either a 2 or a 4-door, both having that 2 litre engine. So certainly the 2 litre L would be unheard of in the UK. That wasn't an option. Anyway, moving down. Now don't be fooled by this next image thinking they all came as an automatic. Standard was a manual transmission actually, so nothing different there. But I'm assuming the automatic sold a lot better than it did in the UK. Moving down, It tells us size it up. For a small car, Cortina gives you plenty of room for the driver and passengers. Lengthen the wheelbase to 101.5 inches and widen the track to 56 inches, resulting in more room in the passenger compartment. A look at what it refers to as safety designed recessed door handles, which looking at it looks like the same that we got in the UK. Interiors inside, you'll see more luxury all round than you'd expect. Cortina L has hard-wearing loop pile carpeting fitted throughout. There's a rear window defroster. The doors are full vinyl trim. The headline is perforated for sound absorption, and the interior colour keyed. There are grab handles for your convenience and even a cigarette lighter to save you from scrambling for matches. Seats. The scientifically designed seats are contoured to support you firmly and comfortably during the ride. The front bucket seats are fully reclining and have a special head restraint system built into a strong seat back. The hard-wearing vinyl covering is also easy washing. Adjusting the seats is quick and simple, as they are mounted on ball bearing and roller slides with a front operating lever. So different seats, but we'll have a look at that in a moment. So engine, so we get that 2000cc overhead camshaft engine as standard, with its cross-flow cylinder head and ball-in piston combustion chamber. You get more power, but this efficient and economical engine gives great gas economy. A 1600cc Cortina model is also available, so a little bit unusual that it's saying standard 2 litre, then they're throwing this in. Well, you can get it, it's a 1600 if you really want, but I'm not sure why somebody would choose that in Canada if that 2 litre was standard. Maintenance. Cortina is designed to run 6,000 miles between service intervals after your first checkup. Just a bit of a side note about maintenance there. Interesting, it says the 6,000 miles between servicing, because it's very strange in North America, and certainly in Canada as well. The recommended oil changes are different. In the UK, you'd think nothing of 12,000 miles, 1 year intervals for a new car. Am I wrong in saying that? You come to Canada, you go to the dealer and say, oh, we recommend you come in every 6,000 kilometres. Every 6,000 kilometres. 8,000 kilometres if you get full synthetic, sir. Which I always thought was bizarre. I always think that was a bit of a money grab. Yeah, the conditions are harsh at times in Canada, but still, that does seem extreme. Anyway, I'm kind of like getting sidetracked there. Brakes. A zippy little car needs fast stop fading free brakes. Cortina is fitted with power front disc brakes. They have rubber piston boots on the caliper to give long life protection. The rear drum brakes have no sliding cylinders or shoe anchors to go wrong, and the system is sealed against dirt and water. Rack and pinion steering. This steering design provides quick, precise manoeuvrability. The pinion at the end of the steering shaft engages the rack, which is directly connected to the tie rods. It is found mostly on expensive European sports cars, apparently, and it is found on the Cortina. Looking at another image there, so electric rear window defroster on your L. I believe you had to move up to the XL in the UK to get that. And then a little bit of look, firstly at the badging at the back there, and that lined trunk with 12 cubic feet capacity. So then we look at the rear of this particular 4-door example, and you'll certainly notice those different lights at the rear, and this unusual placing of the reversing lights rather than in the main set there, which is a little bit different, and this extra little bit of a light or reflector in there as well. Now this is an L, but I mean it's got chrome or bright work around the wheel arches. You are L in the UK, wouldn't add that. Again, you would have had to move up to the XL to get that, although And you say they're very much L spec wheels with that little centre hubcap. And of course you'll notice head restraints. That certainly wasn't a thing on your L model in the UK. I was going to say, could you actually get head restraints on any of the models of the Cortina at this time? Struggling to think. I suppose we had the GT with the bucket seats, but not sort of that sort of style. And it's interesting to see different markets and their different safety standards. Always thought it was very late in the UK with our safety standards, although you didn't realise how lax they were actually growing up. Moving down, I look at the two-door example. I always thought the Cortina would have done well actually in North America, really, because after all, it's very much an American style, isn't this Coke bottle style? So you would certainly think the shape itself would have been quite familiar, if possibly on the small size to what crazy huge vehicles America drove at the time. And there is a look at those seats and those head restraints. Now, of course, strangely though, the market's really changed in North America now, where this size of vehicle would be much more acceptable today and wouldn't have even been called small in today's North American market. Those great big land yachts, those huge wagons with their big V8s have all disappeared now, and the market has changed. So if you want a big vehicle in the US, you buy a truck. That seems to be the way forward. So your truck has turned into an excessive family vehicle rather than a work vehicle, which is a strange way how the market's changed. And then if you want a car, they're not huge things. You can't really buy a huge vehicle, car-based vehicle in North America now. So much more conventional vehicles. Your truck has taken over from those big vehicles, I guess. Anyway, let's move on to the next model. The Cortina GT, great little performer. There we go, straight to the GT. In fact, there's only two models in this range, the L and the GT. I'm glad they picked the GT though. That was certainly a nice spec model, and of course we did have a GT version in the UK as well, although we kind of got quad headlights, didn't we? So it looks a little bit nice. I might just throw an image up in a little bit. Anyway, let's have a look at some of this text and then we'll go back to the images. So it tells us, what's the definition of Cortina GT? Excitement, rally, performance, and that means tachometer, OXC engine, and all the things that make up a car with the initials GT. Things like Cortina GT's snappy close ratio 4-speed transmission for swift positive acceleration, and rack and pinion steering that provide precise manoeuvrability and makes driving a reawakening experience. Stopping is fast and safe with power front discs and 9-inch rear drum brakes, but the engine is the place where the excitement starts, so that is the logical place to start examining. So there is a very tiny little image of the GT interior. It says full Cortina GT instruments including 0 to 130 miles per hour speedometer, tachometer, oil pressure, water temperature, alternator, fuel gauge and electric clock. I'm just hoping nobody expects it to do 130. GT engine. The 2000cc overhead camshaft engine with its 4 inline cylinders and 5 bearing camshaft is standard. The new OXC engine has been skillfully modified to give better efficiency, reduced engine wear, increased component life and improved performance. The neoprene rubber camshaft belt drive is quieter than the conventional chain driven version and makes for more accurate timing. Maintenance. Cortina GT's engine is also reliable and tough. The car runs and runs without the need for constant returning. Cortina GT is designed to run 6,000 miles between service intervals after your first checkup, and the GT is a real sport for low economical fuel consumption. Suspension. Cortina GT is a real smooth operator when it comes to bumps. The newly developed short and long arm front suspension and 4-bar links at the rear has been made stiffer to give superb road holding at higher speeds. A stabiliser bar is fitted for extra stability on corners. Apologise, this is falling on the crease a little bit. So interior and exterior features, tachometer, speedometer and electric clock are located in an easy to view position immediately in front of the driver. Between the front seats there is a completely equipped centre console which holds 4 additional instruments: fuel temperature, oil pressure, ammeter. Also there's a leather rimmed sports steering wheel, matching gear shift knob, wall-to-wall carpeting, rear window defroster, cigarette lighter and a host of other features. Rally type seats have been designed to give firmer lumbar and lateral support. The deep padded front bucket seats are fully reclining with an integral head restraint system built in. Hardware in cloth and vinyl adds a finishing touch of luxury. Outside there is a distinctive blackout grille, GT stripe on the body side panels, black matte applique for the back, special 13-inch pressed steel wheels and sports type hubs, and bright door mouldings. The GT is for the enthusiast driver. For such a driver, the GT offers a new, exciting style of driving at a price most people can afford. Anyway, let's go back to the images. Of course, on that front grille we get a little GT badge instead. We get these styled steel wheels, but optional. A look at the gear lever and those unusually located dials. And then a look at the main image for this particular car on those optional steel wheels by the looks of it. So like I say, unusual that they decided to go for the single headlights rather than the twin headlights, I think, on this particular model, which I'll just show you, I think, just to remind us. There is the UK version, like I say, with those quad type front headlights. Also the UK one, we could get a 1600 as well if we wanted. It looks like though the UK one didn't have sort of like these underriders like we get in Canada, but if you actually go to the model below, our underriders was actually on the next model up, the GXL. So they've certainly kind of like played with the range to bring just 2 models to Canada. A look at the rear and that different light setup with those unusually placed reversing lights. We didn't look at the UK one, let's just have a look at that. So I've just kind of like shown you on the left here, this is your UK Spec model and those different lights with the reversing lights incorporated in there. Yes, this one has got the underriders on there, but this again is the GXL model, so one model up from the GT in terms of the UK market anyway. Although having said that, these underriders or overriders, I presume they would have been more for regulation reasons than just for looks for Canada, because you even got them on the L version, didn't you? Anyway, let's move on. Look at the interior on the Canadian GT. Yes, we did get bucket seats in the UK as well for our GT version. I think they were slightly different though. I can't really find a really good image of the GT seats for the UK market, but we get a little bit of a glimpse here. We kind of get a bit of a glimpse, similar sort of idea, but certainly a different material. I'm gonna say we've kind of got this little like blank spots here, which kind of like denotes it's a slightly different seat in some ways. But there we go. Turn the page. Yeah, that is the end of the models, although we do get this as well, like the UK, the estate, or as it says here, the wagon. So the Cortina wagon, big inside story. So let's have a look at this one. Almost everybody at some time or another will wish they had a little bit more space in their car. On those occasions like holidays and when shopping, or maybe at times when you have to take all the kids somewhere. The all new Cortina wagon offers you this extra space and at the same time provides you with good looks and comfort of a sedan. The Cortina wagon is big where it matters, inside, thanks to the 56-inch wide track and 101.5-inch long wheelbase, which also gives you a stable and extremely smooth ride. A big luggage compartment of 32.3 cubic feet, and it's all usable space. No more worries about where all the holiday luggage is going to go or the kids. And supposing you need more space, just a simple click of the catch on the back of the convertible rear seat and the seat will fold down flat to give you 63.8 cubic feet of space, 44 inches wide, 75.2 inches long. Think of the number of problems that sort of space and versatility will solve. Suspension. The system is designed to give better road holding and ride with increased stability and reduced noise, vibration, harshness. Front suspension is short and long arm, while at the rear it's 4-bar links. Power front disc brakes are standard, while drum brakes on the rear. The system is dual lined, a red light informs you, which means that if one circuit fails, the other will go on operating. The seats apparently have been scientifically designed to give you increased lumbar and lateral support. This means that the seat holds you firmly during the ride and leaves you feeling more relaxed after. The front bucket seats are fully reclining and the rear seat gives you a level of comfort which is not available in many station wagons in Cortina's class. Engine. 2000cc overhead camshaft is standard, which means more power to you and great gas economy. Maintenance. 6,000 miles. Standard features. The Cortina wagon sets a high standard in wagon luxury. There's loop pile carpeting throughout the passenger compartment, while the luggage space has hard wearing rubber covering. There's sound absorbing perforated headlining. The interior is colour keyed. The doors are full vinyl trim. The bucket seats fully recline. There are grab handles over the rear doors for safety and convenience, and a cigarette lighter is fitted as standard. A useful device is the foot-operated wiper washer control. One press squirts water onto the windscreen and operates the wiper for a few strokes. Wagons need a tougher suspension for the heavier loads they carry. Cortina wagon's heavy duty suspension comes standard. It consists of a heavy duty suspension and 6.95 S by 13 cross-ply reinforced tyres on 5.5 inch rim wheels. Anyway, so a lot of that we're just like going over that lot we've learnt already. But I guess somebody looking for a wagon might have just wanted to turn straight over to this estate wagon page. Some interesting images though. For the first time it gives you a nice proper sort of look at that unusual sloping dash of the early Cortinas. They had a bit of an update. They went more conventional, but I always thought they always seemed a bit more like futuristic and sort of space agey. I don't know, I'm talking nonsense I know, but I actually preferred this unusual interior, I must admit. Headlights, safety designed wraparound front directional signal light. Main image is the Cortina L. Looks as if you can only get one spec though. You can only get the L by the looks of it, although like we said before, the L certainly has more on it than what the UK models had. In the UK we get a super base model called the Cortina, which was not even an L. We get the Cortina L, but we can also get the Cortina XL, but I kind of think the Cortina L in Canada is more like an XL anyway. Think extra bits of bright work around the wheels there. No rear wiper though. Hubnut would not be happy with that, would he? A look at the rear, and certainly I always thought these were good practical vehicles as a family vehicle in the UK. Possibly seen as a little bit of an unusual small size in Canada, but still a practical vehicle nevertheless. Back page, we've got some very simple basic specifications. We've only got two models after all, so the L and the GT, and the estate wagon it calls it. That's a good way to say it. You know, we call it the estate in the UK. We call it the wagon in North America. So for this import, why don't we call it an estate wagon? Well, that solves the problem, doesn't it? Anyway, yeah, so it's lumping in the estate in with the L there. But let's have a look at the specifications, see what you got. So first up is the L, and like I say, it includes the estate or wagon as well. So it comes as standard with a 2-litre transmission, fully synchronised 4-speed manual, floor mounted shift lever, rack and pinion steering, brakes, power front discs, sealed drum, rear, dual line system, heavy duty suspension, short and long arm front, 4-bar link rear plus stabiliser bar. Tells you about those tyre dimensions again, rear window defroster, foot operated windshield washer wiper and 2-speed wipers, fully reclining bucket system with head restraints, all vinyl, loop pile carpeting, front and rear grab handles, armrest front and rear, cigarette lighter, 35 amp alternator, 55 amp battery, 66 amp with automatic transmission, pre-engaged starter, heavy duty heater. You know, it gets cold in Canada. I think we need a heavy duty heater. Door mounted outside rear view mirror, bright metal door and window trim, wheel lip mouldings, bumper guards front and rear, day night rear view mirror. But if you went for the GT, you got all that plus special rear deck paint treatment with back panel trim, unique grille paint treatment, rally seats all vinyl with integral head restraints, map pockets, document pockets, driver's sun visor, console, leather gear shift knob, opening rear quarter windows, electric clock, GT instrumentation, special close ratio transmission with axle ratio, full unique GT wheel covers. There is two engine choices really though. I'm not going to go through all this information, but it's a 1993 cc engine, brake horsepower 100 at 5600 RPM, and you know, you can read all that if you want to, but that was your standard engine. So I don't really understand the 1600 how that really worked, because they're all standard with the 2-litre, but there was a 1600. I guess you would have had to order the 1600, I'm not sure. So the 1600 there, displacement 1600cc, brake horsepower 75 at 5000 RPM. And there is your little 2000 badge. So the 2000cc engine is standard equipment on the Cortina L and GT. Automatic transmission and styled steel road wheels are available options. And your 1600cc optional engine is available on the Cortina L sedan only. Power disc brakes, automatic transmission, rear window defroster, and are not available with this engine. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? So that's almost like it's more of a UK spec then, isn't it? Interesting. Power disc brakes, automatic transmission, and even the rear window defroster not available with the 1600. So that was a real oddball spec in Canada. Options: auto transmission. The transmission provides 3 forward, 1 reverse. First and second gears can be held to faster acceleration and engine braking. Kick down accelerator pedal provides instant change down for swift, safe overtaking. Auto's transmission is matched to the 2 litre only. 1600, the engine retains a successful cross-flow cylinder head with ball-in piston, which improves performance, cuts engine wear and delivers great economical fuel consumption. And then of course you can get that styled steel road wheel. So a bit of a reminder where these were sold in Canada. All new Cortina at Mercury and selected Ford dealers. And again, that little date there of 7/71. So there we go, the Ford Cortina for Canada. And interesting to see these Canadian Spec Cortinas, how they kind of like differ slightly with their UK cousins. Didn't last that long, but I've never actually seen one in Canada, I must be honest, and the Canadian climate is certainly a lot harsher than in the UK. Certainly where I live, you very rarely see an older car, and if you do, it's got full of rot on it. And the Cortinas were never renowned for their rust resisting properties. The only place I can really think of, if you go further west on roads that they don't use salt, maybe a couple that survived, I really don't know. But thank you for watching today. Let me know in the comments of your memories with the Cortina, and certainly if you're in Canada and actually owned one of these, drop that in the comments. I don't really expect any comments on that, but it'd be nice to see somebody who at least owned one of these in Canada at some point in time. Anyway, we'll end by saying, if you've not done it already, please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free, and just liking this video is free as well. But thank you so much for watching. I'm ending on this little image of this little car, and also I'm going to throw some boxes up here for other episodes that you may want to see. Lots and lots of episodes, fast approaching 500 videos on the channel, so I'm sure there is a make a model that you are particularly interested in, or something that brings back memories. And really this channel is as much about memories as the cars themselves. So thank you so much for watching. Please do take care, have a great weekend, and we'll see you very soon. All the best and goodbye.